Hello and welcome to this video. As usual, my name is Mary and today we are discussing about a very important aspect of sales within every organization, and that is how we need to ensure that we are able to boost the revenue within an organization by avoiding some of the common sales mistakes. I do believe that you will find this very interesting, and I am glad to be joined by Godfrey in this conversation. Thank you, Godfrey, for joining.
Pleasure to be here, Mary.
Great.
Yes.
There could be so many mistakes when it comes to sales that maybe prevent organizations from increasing or growing their revenue. But before we discuss some of those common mistakes, why is sales so important in an organization?
Thanks, Mary. As they say, sales is the engine of any organization, because if we don't sell whichever product we're producing or services we're offering, it doesn't matter how superior those products are. As long as we don't have sales, then they're as good as nothing. It will just be cost that went into that production not being realized in terms of revenue. So sales is very important. It's the life of the business. Yes.
I like the way you put it, the engine of the organization. So in order to boost the revenue of every organization or company, what are some of the common mistakes, sales mistakes that organizations need to avoid?
Yeah, quite a number of gaps, and I have seen this through my experience when we're doing needs analysis, just to identify gaps before we do our trainings, which are normally tailored. Therefore, we first evaluate what are the gaps. What I've seen coming out so common or frequently is lack of clear sales process. If you ask someone, just walk me through the sales journey from how we source for the leads, what does the next step look like. Sometimes it's never clear. So because of that, most companies either end up wasting time, resources. The conversation with the potential clients either does not move to the next stage or move the next step because it's not clear what happens at what point. Sometimes the salesperson wants to close the deal on day one, and the client hasn't perhaps gotten the buy-in. So it's important that it is clear to the team that is involved in sales. Second is the inadequate qualification. Every product has a target client or a target market. So it doesn't matter just because you have leads, then everyone must buy. So if you don't have clear ways of qualifying your leads, you might end up wasting a lot of time chasing poorly evaluated leads. You might end up also wasting resources in the process because either you're doing meetings or the staff have to travel or they have to call. Thirdly is when you ignore the customer's needs and focus a lot more on your product or your service. I've had many salespeople talking of our superior product, superior brand, we are the best, without focusing on what the market needs. So focusing on the client in terms of what they will buy, because they will buy what is of value to them, not just because it is a superior product. Next is inadequate follow-up. Sometimes the sales teams, they don't do follow-up. Just because they called and you're not available, or because you said no, then they give up. So there is no persistence. And this has to be very intentional. Remember, it's a mindset.
Follow-ups.
It is how someone thinks. So persistence and follow-up, very important. And of course, many of these gaps is not the sales team to blame. It's just because they lack the skill. They lack the understanding that I am supposed to handle my sales process in this approach or in this manner. And of course, when sales and marketing are not aligned, whereby we are doing marketing, so much invested in marketing, brand visibility. On the other side, the sales team is not as switched on as the way we are pushing the brand in the market. So sometimes you'll realize that you will see an advert, but when you call the company or when you visit the company, either stocks are not available or the staff you meet is the opposite. It's very different from the messaging on the marketing side.
Or even the response time.
Exactly, yes.
Great. Now, talking about the last topic that you've just mentioned, the last point. Now, how can organizations or employers ensure that the sales team get the kind of support or even training that they need in order to ensure that they are able to maximize on revenue?
So Mary, as I've said, yes, sales is a skill that can be mastered. So the first thing I would recommend any employer watching us or any sales manager watching us is number one, first do a skills audit. Where is the team dropping the ball? Is it at lead generation? Is it at prospecting? Is it at making the first sales contact in terms of reaching out to the client for the first time? Is it at qualification? Is it at needs analysis? So this requires very intentional efforts. And that is where we come in as corporate staffing. We help you as a third party to look from an outside, inside kind of view. We can see what could be going wrong. We can see where the gaps are. And then out of that, we can tailor training just to build capacity of your team.
Wow.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Thanks,
And indeed, sales is the engine of every organization.
Yes.
So revenue, really, the numbers speaks for themselves, as we
Exactly.
normally say.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure.
Indeed, when it comes to sales and just ensuring that you are able to avoid some of these common mistakes that Godfrey has highlighted in order to be able to boost the revenue, skill audit is very important, and we are able to help you identify where the gaps could be or areas where training will really come in handy to ensure that your sales team are able to maximize on the time that they have to bring in the kind of revenue that is expected of them. The link below will guide you on how to reach out to us, and we will be glad to customize the training to suit your needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one.